2, 1.
All right, excellent. I'll call the Woodstock Historic District Commission meeting to order. We'll appoint Stan as an alternate member. Stan, who's an alternate member, will be a voting member for this meeting. And I'll go through some of the rules here. Let's see. If you are a member of the public, not someone who has an application who we'll be talking with during their application, but a member of the public, then you should write any questions you have in the chat, and those will be answered during the public comment part of the application review. Anytime anybody speaks, they need to state their name and title if it's appropriate. If you are calling in, I think at least one of you is calling in, perhaps two, to raise your hand to speak during the public comments phase, you hit *9 on your phone, and Crystal Adams, who is monitoring this, will note that you are raising your hand and signal to me that you have a question. And I think those are the specific rules. So let's see, public hearing number, first up on the agenda is 622 Route 169. So Earl, would you read the legal notice, please?
Yes, I will. The Woodstock Historic District Commission will hold a public hearing on May 27th at 6:30 p.m. for 622 Route 169 concerning siding, front porch, rear porch, and fences.
Excellent. And Shannon, are you on the phone? Crystal, that's the 150883.
Okay, I'm unmuting them.
Okay, Shannon, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Your application is up for us to review. So at this time, what we'd like you to do is explain to the commission what it is that you are proposed, that you would like approval for.
We'd like approval to put on a porch on the back of the house, enclosed porch, and then put some fencing around a portion of the yard.
Okay. Now your application also included the siding on the house and yes, also and some work on the front porch, I believe.
Yes, and to vinyl side the house, and then also the front porch. The front porch needs to be taken care of.
Okay, so we'll need specific details on what you propose to do, the changes you're making in the existing front porch, the changes that are happening with the siding, and then also specific details for the porch and the fence. We'll start with the siding.
Okay, so, I'm going to hand the phone over to my husband. He can better explain all the intimate details. Hold on a second.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Eric Martin.
Yes.
Hi, so do you have the schematic that I drew up?
I do. Let me just check and see if everybody else has got the plans available, or let me see if. I have them. Okay. Yep, they've got them. All right. So yes, we have the schematic.
So the fence, as you see it, each one of the X's would be a post. It's pretty self-explanatory. The rear porch, the enclosed rear porch, again, it's off the back of it. It'll be matching the vinyl siding of the rest of the house. The house had 3 different sidings on it. So, I mean, you had that 1970s aluminum to some clapboard to some cedar shakes that were rotted. The front porch, so all that would be vinyl sided to match. The front porch, again, actually below the ground, grade level, rotted right out, completely gone. Needed to be replaced. Of the joists, needed to be replaced. The dirt was actually above above touching the porch. It was like buried under the ground almost. And we're going to match the garage as well to the house, the same siding. It's a gray vinyl. It's actually called slate. It's got white trim with black shutters. It's pretty classic Cape look.
Okay, so we'll go bit piece by piece. So let's take the siding first. So you said existing. It had existing aluminum siding, some cedar shakes, and some clapboarding on it.
You couldn't see the clapboard. The clapboard was already covered. It was covered under the aluminum.
So what was showing was just completely aluminum?
Aluminum and then some cedar shakes at the top.
Okay. And so what you're proposing is that you want to go completely with vinyl that is going to be gray. Is it flat vinyl or does it have is it wood look?
Well, it looks like cedar. It looks like clapboard. It's a regular vinyl. It has some slight impression in it. Nothing major. Just
right. Okay. All right. And you're going to do the same thing on the garage.
Yep.
Okay. Good. All right. Does anybody have any questions for him while we're on the siding at the moment? Any of the commission members?
Yes, Earl. So up until now, it has been kind of a patchwork, and this will make it all consistent for the whole house and garage.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is Gail Usher. Are you adding black shutters also on the house?
Yes.
Okay.
All the way around.
All the way around. Did shutters exist before?
No.
Okay. So
there was some awning, some falling down again from the 70s, like roll up type. They were not in good shape at all. They're very tatted, and I don't even know if they function there. Some of them were up, some of them were down. They're just outdated.
Okay. And what material are the shutters?
They're vinyl.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the porch, front porch. And what kind of work are you proposing to do on that?
It's buried under the ground with rotted. All the joists are rotted. They all need to be replaced. The decking as well. The edge of the deck where it was very close to the ground. I don't know how it ended up like that, but that's just the way it was. And it made the roof over the porch slightly dipped. So because of the rottedness with it being missing, and so new footings, new joists, and new decking.
Okay.
And new posts, and there's 4 new posts as well to go
on the to hold up the roof.
Yes, and they're decorative spindle style, half square, and the other top half is spindle style. They're white. They're vinyl steel inserts. They'll match the whole house will be matching.
Okay. What kind of supports were there before? What kind of posts are? Yeah.
The deck, well, the deck or the roof posts?
The roof posts.
It was like 1 inch boards nailed together. Is all it was. It was 4 1-inch boards, and they were nailed together and sat on. They sat on a little knee wall. So there wasn't really much holding it up, to be honest with you.
You said you're putting in these the 4 posts that are spindles to hold up the roof, that are spindle style. What was there before?
It was 1-inch boards.
Oh, 1-inch
4
boards.
of them nailed,
okay.
Nailed into a square, sitting on a knee wall.
Got you. Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
The four boards they made into a square, and they made it into a post. There was nothing inside of it. It was just literally 4 1-inch boards. Made it into a square.
All right. Questions concerning, commission members, any questions concerning the front porch? Stan. Crystal, if you would unmute Stan, please.
Yep.
Or just hold your space. Yeah, there we go.
So there'll be a 3-foot high white railing with balusters. Is that what you're going to enclose it with?
No, I'm going to leave it open.
So it'll just be posts and a floor and a roof.
Yes, it's very close to the ground. So I think it's 1 step.
Yeah. Well, I just thought maybe you were doing it for decoration. Are you going to wrap the posts with white vinyl or with white aluminum coil stock? Or?
No, the vinyl posts, they're already white. The
Okay.
posts are already white.
All right.
What about the decking of the front porch?
It's pressure treated 1x6. Got to let it dry for a little while. We're going to stain it, probably a dark stain.
Okay. That's something the commission doesn't worry about color.
Well, it's too wet to do it now. It needs to dry out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Earl or Tim, do you have any questions for him about the front porch?
Earl, I do.
Yes. Crystal, if you'd unmute Earl, please.
I don't have any additional questions.
Oh, okay. All right. Then we'll move to the enclosed rear porch that you're proposing.
Okay.
I have one question about the back porch. Is it visible from the street?
Side might be, very, very little of it will be. But some of it will be. You wouldn't even notice it. It's going to blend right in with there's already a little bump out there as it is. We're just making it a little bit bigger.
Okay.
And let's see, the third page of your drawings, I think looks like it has details about that back porch.
Yep. I have whatever I submitted to you here.
It says 5 windows, 1 interior door, 1 exterior door, and stairs, 2x12
Yep.
floor joists, roof and ceiling joists, load-bearing post, precast cement footings.
They're
And
big
it's-
footings. I don't know if you can tell by the drawing, but they're very large footings. They come through, they're about 4 feet tall. They bury them in the ground. They're shaped just like I drew them.
Right.
They're very large. You buy them that way.
So about how much will be visible above the ground?
Of the footing?
Yes.
Oh, just probably 1/2 foot.
Okay. And then it's going to be, the porch is going to be completely sided. No, it's going to be completely sided except for the windows
Yep, in the door.
and the door. And you've got stairs, exterior stairs going down from it.
Yeah, that ends up there's a hill on that side of the house. So again, there's only two stairs coming out of it, maybe 3. I don't even think there'll be 3.
Mm-hmm. And which side of the house are those going to be on?
The
North side?
the repair side, which I don't.
Rondo's?
Not the green. Yeah, Rondo's side.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's the south side. And let's see, did you detail what the stairs are going to be? Pressure treat or
Yeah.
wood?
Yep. They'll be, yep. Regular pressure treated.
And you said there's just a little area currently out there at the back?
Yes. There's already a bump out. You can kind of see it on the overview. So it'll just be continuing off of what is already there.
So it's new, but it's new construction, 18 feet deep and 20 feet wide off that bump out.
Yes, approximately. Might be a little smaller.
And what windows are going to be vinyl?
Yes. The whole house matches. I'm just going to keep the flow of the whole book.
All right. Commission members, any questions for our applicant?
Not so far, but did we want to talk about the fencing?
Yep. I'm trying to take
Each piece?
one piece at a time.
Okay.
I think we can go back to ask questions about specific elements, but while we're talking about one, I think it'll work better if we have questions we ask about them. Okay. All right. Then we'll move to the fencing. And I believe that's depicted in the first drawing. So you're proposing two different kinds of fencing. Is that correct?
Yeah, the majority, 90% will be more of a stockade fence.
How tall a stockade? You said pickets. Are they going to be butted up against each other, or is there going to be space between them?
No, it'll be a privacy fence.
Okay. How tall?
6 foot is what it standard is.
All right. So that's going to run. You said looks like you've got a post and rail fence that runs from along the Woodstock Grange side for a number of feet into your property until it comes level with the front of your house. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. But
because that's the open part from the street. So when you're driving up the street, you'll see it'll just flow with the front of the house.
Right.
It won't be blocked off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yes, that will be good for traffic as well. And then the privacy fence is going to extend from the northeast corner of your house out to your property line toward the Grange. Run all the way along the property line on that north side of your house. And then, if I'm reading it right, on the south side off your mudroom, back off the west corner of your mudroom, it's going to run to your garage. The privacy fence a section of privacy fence will be there.
Yes, for the backyard.
Okay. Yep. And then you've got on the Rondo's station side, you're going to run the privacy fence from the road all the way the length of your property.
No, just till it gets to the backyard. It's more because of the business.
Okay.
There's cars in and out all the time, and you're staring at a car lot. So
right. So your X's go deep into your yard. So would you say it's probably just to the end of your garage?
No, it goes as deep as I'm showing you, but that property goes almost all the way to that river.
Oh, I see I see. You've got a line that goes all the way. Yep, I see it.
I don't know if I wrote it. There's another at the bottom that says there's additional land in the back I don't know if you have that one.
Now that
should be a.
oh yes, 1.7 acres to the rear of the property. Got it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go that. That's all. That's fine. That stuff's fine. It's just more over there where the business is on his side.
All right. So just to be clear, it looks like you're going to put the privacy fence when you're talking the Grange side. It's going to be running parallel to the road about 30. It looks like you're measuring off 30 feet from the corner of your house to your property line. That's be about that distance. 65 back. All right. And commission members, any questions about the fencing? Stan?
No questions. It's just there was never any fence there before, right?
No.
Okay.
But there's a very busy business next door. You go out the side of the door in the driveway and you're staring at many vehicles that are ready to be worked on or whatever it is. There was some kids there with the, I think they parked there to go to the school too. So.
Yeah, well, I understand that.
He has a fence, the same fence right on the other side of his property. So maybe isolating him, I guess, is more of a same fence that he has is on the other side of his property. He has his own fence up, or the house now the other side of him has a fence as well.
Yep.
Gotcha.
All right.
Well, that's the only question I had.
Okay. So at this point, what we should do is just we should ask any other questions that we might have about any of these 4 aspects of the application. If anybody, all right, Stan's good. Tim, anything?
Yeah, Tim Monahan. What about the roofing material? What's that going to be?
The same that was on it. It's asphalt shingles. Black, same color.
Okay, thanks.
Good. Does anybody have any additional questions?
No, not me.
Earl?
None.
Okay. Then I'll look for a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved, Earl.
Tim, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? All right, closing the public hearing, and so what happens next is that the commission members will take a few minutes to discuss the application, and then we will move to vote on the application. And so at this point, we won't be asking you any more questions. So, but stay on the line so you can hear what's going on.
Okay, we'll do.
Great. All right. Comments?
Earl, overall, it sounds to me like it'll be an improvement over the current status, since it'll all be consistent. And up to this point, it's been a variety of different materials. So I think the end result will be more attractive. I'm in favor of it.
Any other comments, Tim or Stan?
Stan here. The whole thing is just improving the property immensely, so I have no problem with what he's doing.
All right.
It's Tim. I mean, it does sound like a good project. I wish I had more information, like a photograph of the house and how it would look afterwards, but I think it would be fine.
Well, Stan here. It's pretty much done, Tim, if you want to go look at it.
this, all right.
The major, Stan again, the major change is the privacy fencing. And I get his rationale for wanting it because of Rondo's there, but.
Right. And I think the fact that they've put they're putting post and rail at the, along for the first, I don't know, maybe 20 feet or so, 30 feet from the road to the privacy fence will mean it doesn't serve as a thick block on that side of the road. That's going to be good for sight lines there.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm good to go.
Okay.
Would anybody like additional discussion? I will say that I received a copy of their NEDDH application for the rear enclosed porch, and that's been approved as being appropriately sited between their leach field and their septic tank. So they've been approved for that.
Yeah, well, that's a building inspector issue, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So that's all set. That's all good to go. All right. I will take a motion then on the application.
I will move, this is Earl, I'll move to approve as submitted.
Do I hear a second?
Stan will second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So all in favor. So the application has been approved, and you can go ahead to complete the project.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. The second on our for our applications is Woodstock Academy.
I'll read the legal notice.
Now, I think we're good for the one. Did you include both when you read it?
I did not include the
Okay. Please read the legal notice for the Academy.
Okay. The Woodstock Historic District Commission will hold a public hearing on May 27th, 6:30 p.m. for Woodstock Academy for restoration and repairs to the Academy building.
All right. Kevin, you're up. Crystal, if you would unmute Kevin, please, so that he can present the details of the project to us.
Okay, so as always, thanks very much for taking the time to sit down with us, even though it's a little bit different setting. We've actually found the Zoom meetings to be pretty helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen if I can. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. There we go. Does everybody see that sheet?
No.
I do not have it.
Okay, let me try this. There we go.
Yep.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. So we sort of kept things a bit more simplified given the media and the lack of face-to-face time. So what we submitted are the 4 elevation sheets of the exterior of the building, and then a 5th sheet which shows the work of the barrier-free entry on the north side of the building. So I'll dive right into it. We have had initial conversations with the fire marshal, and they had asked for a couple of what I think are fairly subtle changes, but important changes. So if people can see my mouse, there's a little 4-inch diameter circle right here by the southwest entry doors. The fire marshal requested a fire beacon, which is basically an alarm that it's a flashing light essentially, that if there's a event in that particular facility, the alarm system triggers the fire beacon so that when they drive up the road, they know where to go to deal with an emergency. So that was one change that we've done since you folks saw it a couple months ago in the informal meeting. And then the second change is again related to a fire department connection, which is often called a Siamese connection. So in the event of a fire, the fire department connection is there so that they can bring their pumper trucks and pump water from the pumper trucks directly into the fire protection system, the sprinkler system. So presently that fire department connection on the building is right about here. We want to move it over to the left a bit so that we can get a door into the lower level mechanical room. So it's an existing component on the building and we're basically relocating it. I guess I should just go into the whole genesis of the project since there may be some public members who haven't heard of the project. So Woodstock Academy is looking to do a historic restoration of the Academy building, simultaneous with energy upgrades throughout the building. Presently, the building is completely uninsulated. The heating system is quite poor. The windows are single pane glass. It just leaks like a sieve. There's a number of drainage issues around the building, et cetera, et cetera. So the building was originally renovated in 1993, or I should say restored in 1993, at which point they removed all of the existing clapboard sidings and replaced with new clapboard sidings. They put a new EPDM roof on the building. They basically dipped all the existing window panes in a chemical bath to remove the lead. One of the things that happened during that renovation, they didn't do adequate drainage planes behind the existing clapboard system. So we're making some modifications to the exterior envelope. We're going to be insulating. We're going to be putting a drainage plane directly behind the clapboards. We're going to be replacing all the clapboards. And then we're going to be replacing the windows. We hope to restore the roof to a batten seam, metal batten seam roof, which is in keeping with historic photographs of the original state of that roof. We're going to be restoring shutters to the building. Historic archival photographs indicated that there were shutters on all the perimeter windows. So we're hoping to restore those shutters back to the building. Unfortunately, there's no record of anything related to the shutters, so we're basing them to some degree on the Roseland shutters. In terms of existing material, this cornice line right up here, this component here, that's actually in very good shape because it's got a fairly deep overhang. When they used to build buildings like this, they knew enough to put deep overhangs to shelter the walls. So that we're going to keep that existing cornice in place. Some of the decorative ornament, these little components here, they're largely intact and in place. A couple of them have broken and we'll be restoring those as well. So for extant material, it's essentially this cornice and through here, and all that will remain in place. There's discussion that some of these pilaster 1x4 boards may be original. They're all in pretty rough shape. We're going to include an allowance in the bid documents to assume that 20% of these can be salvaged and reinstalled, with the same caveat relative to the window trim around the perimeter of the windows. We think that a good section of those may be original to the building, but again, they're in very rough shape. So we're gonna ask that they maintain at least 20%, restore and reinstall. The existing exit doors are replicas of what was there originally based upon what we've seen for historic photographs. We believe they were replaced in 1993. They are basically in fairly bad shape. You can see daylight right through the doors. So we're going to be replacing those to the original design. The existing stairs from the first floor flanking the center bay, that stair was modified with a raised cheek wall, basically. Based on historic photographs, again, we're going to be dropping that stair cheek wall down to the floor level, do it out of brick, which we believe is compliant with the original intentions there, and then bringing in a handrail on each side, projecting that as concrete, a concrete stair just for long-term durability. So A2.0 is the south elevation. You can see the corresponding windows, our window schedule. We are replicating those existing windows as closely as we can. I think there is one potential variation we saw in the meeting rail, which is this component here. We've got a price from the manufacturer to use a 1 5/8 inch meeting rail, and what we've measured in the field is 1.5 inches. And again, we think that that 1/8 inch variation is really kind of within normal tolerance. We're standing on step ladders to do these measurements and using a tape measure. So an 1/8 inch, certainly viewed over hundreds of feet, is going to be fairly insignificant. However, it would be a considerable savings to use this particular manufacturer. They will be single hung windows as opposed to an insulated glass is what we're proposing for all the windows. Moving on to 2.1, this is the west elevation, which faces towards the BAC, the Brackett Center. You can see the elevations of the shutters that we're proposing be installed. The shutters are indicated at each of the windows, flanking the main window. So this side here is the south side of the building. This is the west side, and then this is the north side. So this is the cheek wall at the entry stairs that we're rebuilding and restoring to its original configuration. The north side, this is the west elevation of the north side of the barrier-free access. So we're using the same brick. I should say that the brick, we've got 3 different brick samples that we've asked the brick supplier to bring to the site so we can, and it's based on the existing brick of the foundation. So it should be a very close match to the foundation. So the barrier-free access will be on the north side, which is the major path of travel for students throughout the day. It'll be a brick sort of retaining wall with a picketed aluminum black fence, modular fence. We are taking the building off of the current heating loop, which serves the entire campus. So this is the last building on that loop, and so the heat system is very it's irregular, to say it at least. So on cold days, it can be quite cold in the lower levels of the building and quite hot in the upper levels, and it's really untenable, incredible waste of energy and resources. So what we're doing is a standalone system, which will be in the basement, fully concealed, but the flues will be coming through a new brick chimney, which is being located at an existing shaft, which originally served the wood stoves of the building. So we're going to be basically putting that chimney flue in the same location that it had been historically in the past. We're also creating snow rails because we're going with a metal roof. We're going to have snow rails at the very top, as we explained at the last meeting. Excuse me, and those are basically there for public safety reasons. We think that enough snow builds up on the metal roof, it'll slide over, and we just don't want some kid to get buried. The clock tower restoration is still being discussed for refurbish or restoration this summer. We're presently in part 2 of the SHPO submittal, the State Historic Preservation Office submittal. Once we get our part 2 approvals, which it basically says, we approve the project as designed and it's eligible for the following tax credits. Once we get that, we can then release the bid documents for the tower restoration for this summer. So that would be phase 1 is the clock tower restoration. And then phase 2 could begin potentially as soon as next spring. Of course, it's all trustee decisions. We presently have a SHPO direct grant for the restoration of the clock tower for $100,000. And we hope to hear for from SHPO in the next week or so on a planning and development grant of $20,000. The opposite elevation, which is the east, faces basically towards the field house and library, is essentially identical to that of the west, but we don't have any kind of chimney flue there because we're not, none of our boilers are on this side of the building. So it's going to match very closely to what was there originally, with the exception of the snow rails and the barrier-free construction on the north side. And I will say the north side is probably the least prominent of the elevations on this building. So again, it's pretty much as we described originally. The north side, this is where you get to see what we're proposing for the barrier-free access into the building. So it'd be a brick veneer matching the existing brick of the foundation. And then because we're going up about 3 feet, we do need a guardrail and a place to hide the sort of sloping railing. So what we're doing is creating this stepping aluminum fence, which will be a black picket fence that'll step up to the center. The center will be we're proposing a seal of the academy, which is of the spire itself. So that'll be either cast aluminum or cast bronze seal. There's also plans to have a dedication plaque at a small little knee wall here, which will explain the history of the building and connection back to the founding of the academy and the founding benefactors as well, as anybody that may step up. We're also looking at bringing back the original stained glass windows, which are currently, they were pulled out of this building in '93, I believe, and placed in Bowen. So we're going to be taking those back from Bowen and putting them back in their original openings. That'll be done by an independent stained glass restorer out of Hampton, Massachusetts, most likely Stained Glass Resources. Presently, there's a shed addition here on the existing building, which is not original to the building. We can tell because of the structural construction of that. So we're going to be removing that and restoring the original configuration at the northeast entry, using the same design that we've got documented in photographs from the south elevation. We were unable to find any extant archival photography of any elevation but the south elevation of this building. So we felt it appropriate to essentially mimic that same treatment of what they did at the south side. So you can see this is an elevation of the barrier-free ramp. And then this is a cut through beyond the ramp, between the ramp and the building itself. So there'd be, excuse me, a planting bed there. One of the other things we're doing at this location here is we're building a new areaway to create intake and exhaust louvers for the ventilation system for the building. If you go out there presently, these window openings are infilled with louvers, look pretty trashy. So we're by essentially burying the intake into this areaway, this recess areaway below grade, we're able to restore those original windows back to its original configuration. One other probably small, but I think mighty change to this building is we're getting rid of the litany of sensors and lighting and cameras and things of that nature that are sort of scattered ad hoc about the perimeter of the elevations, which I think are, that's all going to be cleaned off of the building. So it'll be free of all those sort of encumbrances. And then the last elevation is of the barrier-free access. That gives you a little bit bigger image for what we're talking about doing for the north elevation. So it'll be brick to match the foundation with that same black picketed fence. The seal in the center, the Woodstock Academy will be a cast bronze typeface, and then we'll have step lights basically that are built into the module of the brick. So we will have lighting at that sidewalk without having to have poles and other vertical encumbrances. And this sheet basically shows all those elevations and gives you a bit more detail to what we're proposing. We were trying to be more articulate in terms of what we're adding to this building, because we feel that's, you know, that's one of the things we want to do, is to be respectful of the building, but we don't necessarily want to create something which would confuse the original fabric of the original building. So we came upon this as a sort of an elegant kind of compromise, which walks between the existing building and this new barrier-free improvement, which will make the entire building accessible. We're also on the interior integrating a barrier-free elevator so that we can get the general public onto all floors of the building, as well as students and faculty. In terms of paints and colors, we're basically matching what's there presently. The only documentation we don't have anything on is the shutters themselves. Apparently, when they did the renovation in '93, they found a bunch of shutters in the attic and promptly threw them all out. So I think just going back to the cottage as a reference there, given that they share a donor, is an appropriate gesture. So. The hope is that with your concurrence, we will get SHPO approval and substantial tax credits to help finance the renovation. If so, we would be looking potentially to bid this in spring of next year, at which point the entire set of drawings would be in front of the building inspector and all the appropriate town departments, including the historic commission, so you'd have one final look at what we're proposing here. So as I said up front, the one change that's come about based on regulatory review with the fire department and building inspector is the fire department connection moving, and then the beacon here. And then on the north side, we're also doing a beacon at the fire marshal's request at that location as well. So that's pretty much what we've got in a nutshell.
Oh, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So I'd say leave the plans on, leave your screen up with the plans.
Okay.
So that if the commission members have specific questions, you can easily reference back.
Okay,
to the page.
Just go ahead and mute.
And all right, commission, do you have, who has questions for Kevin?
I have a question on the ramp. Does that meet all regulatory requirements that we're aware of at this time?
Yeah, it actually exceeds ADA requirements for a ramp, but we specifically made it 1 foot and 20 rise so that it's less impactful in terms of its overall run. What we didn't want to do, if you do a ramp at 1 and 12, you have to provide handrails at 2 elevations on both sides. And to my eye, at least, it looks more like a cattle chute than it does a integrated component of circulation onto a building. So by going 1 and 20, you're not even required to provide those handrails. The slope is gentle enough that someone in a wheelchair can go up unassisted by handrails. So, okay. So yeah, it does meet ADA. Yeah.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Stan here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, yes.
It's just sort of a curiosity that the Woodstock seal is off center from that window.
Yeah, it's we did look at that.
Would be bugged by that.
Well, I mean, not everybody, when we travel through life, we tend to be a little bit more circuitous and don't cut our corners and view everything exactly perpendicular. So there's probably 1 in 20 people may actually notice that offset.
Well, I realized that.
Yeah. Yeah. The issue is basically we had to do the 1 in 20 run. We had to And also to sort of respect the access from the parking lot. This entry is basically on access with the existing parking lot and the sidewalk back to the parking lot. So we were trying to maintain that axial view of that entry all the way from the parking lot. If we were to shift this, the seal and this construction a foot over to the left or so, it would have sort of inhibited that clear line of circulation right.
Well, I was aware, yeah, I knew what the limitations were. It was just caught my eye, that's all.
Anybody have any, this is Gail, anybody have any other questions? Can't see, so if you do have a question, I'd say indicate in chat that you do, so I can see that you've got one, and then then we can have Crystal unmute you.
Stan again?
Yes.
With the exception of the fire department stuff, it's pretty much what we went over with in February, whenever it was.
Yes.
So I don't have any new issues myself.
I have a couple of questions for Kevin. You mentioned the snow rails that are going on to the metal roof.
Right.
Are those just going to be straight, just simple rails that are up there?
Yeah, they'll be what's called a pipe rail. So it'll be about a 1-inch diameter pipe, spaced roughly 4 inches apart, roughly 8 inches high. And then you can see there's a vertical bracket every 4 feet, which works with our 16-inch batten module. So this is a historic snow rail. You can get little tabs and things of that nature that won't function as well, but this will do the job, and it'll look period basically to what would be on this building.
Okay. All right. So no decorative features on it.
No.
Good. Good. Then the next question had to do with the metal roof itself. Color.
It is scheduled to be zinc coated copper, which is when it first goes on, it looks very much like lead coated copper. If you've seen lead coated copper, which is a sort of burnished gray color. Zinc coated copper, they really don't make lead coated copper to any degree now because of the health issues. So zinc coated copper is the closest thing to lead coated copper. And it's also referred to as turn roofing, which is zinc and steel. And we do suspect, based on the photographs, that this was a metal roof when it was originally built. And certainly the batten system would be entirely appropriate to the Italianate style that the architect was trying to work with here too. So.
Thank you.
This is Earl. Will the color change over time?
Zinc coated does not change. It doesn't really oxidize per se. It might get a little bit more burnished or more bit dull, but it essentially will stay pretty close to its original appearance. It's fairly stable.
Tim, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. So Kevin, what do you need approval for at this meeting?
In order to support the Part 2 application from the SHPO, I need a certificate of appropriateness.
For the entire project?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
The Part 2 is the entire project. We got the certificate of appropriateness for the tower because the grant required that as part of the grant application. Right.
Right. But the application tonight is for everything else.
Correct.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Before we close the public hearing, does anybody have, let's see, is there any public comment at this time?
I see nothing in the chat and no hands raised.
Okay. Then looking for a motion from commission members to close the public hearing.
Dan will move that.
All right, that's Stan making the motion. Do I have a second?
Tim will second.
All right, Tim seconding. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? All right, public hearing's closed. Let's see. Would it be, commission members, would it be helpful if, for our purposes of our discussion, if Kevin leaves the drawings up on deck at the moment, or do we not need them? Let's see, that's a hard thing to answer. Does anybody want the drawings to remain on the screen?
I'm also,
If you do, raise your hand. Otherwise, so I can see you all, we'll take them down. I don't see it. All right, Kevin, if you could drop your unshared, there you go. Okay, so discussion, commission members. Excuse me.
Stan has a question.
Yes, Stan.
Windows are proposed to be clad, I assume?
The windows are wood windows, painted wood windows. We're speccing mahogany, painted mahogany wood windows. So they'll be consistent with the original windows.
Oh, okay. That's good. Nice room you're in, Kevin.
That's our office.
All right. So, commission members, any discussion about the project as presented?
This is Tim. I think it's pretty much what he presented before, Stan said, and I think we're all very happy with those plans at that time. I think it's an excellent plan to restore the building.
Yeah. And I think this is Gail, I also think that the barrier-free entranceway is really well done and very thoughtfully done. And it's also wonderful to see that the plans include going back to a lot of the original features of the building. So.
I'm really very happy about the ability to go back to evidence that they found on photographic evidence and stuff, and to be able to use that.
Yeah, it's going to be a stellar job, and I hope that that the Academy documents it as it unfolds. It's going to really stand as a great restoration project.
Yes.
So just one thing. I mean, we are in front of SHPO now, so if the Historic Commission or any members of the general public want to add their support for the project, there's certainly, we can get you information to write a supporting letter to SHPO, because those things do matter. We've actually asked the legislators to go ahead and weigh in on the project as well. And I appreciate your compliments, but your support is needed regardless. So.
Well, we can discuss that, and if we're in agreement, then we can certainly write a letter supporting the. I think we've already written one, so we'll be, if we remain in agreement, we'll be happy to write another one.
Good point. Yeah, I was a little premature there. Sorry.
All right. Well, then I am looking for a motion on the application as presented.
I'll move. This is Earl.
Right.
To approve
it as presented.
Presented. Yep.
All right. Good. Do I hear a second?
Stan will second.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carried. Project is approved, Kevin.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good evening and stay safe.
Thanks for doing really the whole, everything about it is exemplary. And if it comes off, it will be very impressive.
Yeah, like I said, we do need as much support to leverage those tax credits as we can. So if anybody could reach out to SHPO, that would be appreciated. So.
We'll discuss it, and then I'll be in touch with you if we agree to get the appropriate contact information.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
I know.
All right. So let's see. Now, what do we think in terms of, are we in agreement that a letter to help support the academy in their SHPO application would be appropriate?
I think so. I mean, if they can get this done the way they're presenting it, it's going to be a remarkable feature for the town. I mean, so I would support that.
All right. I will.
I was going to say I would too, Gail, and I wonder if we could get it out to the townspeople, like on that Woodstock Proud Facebook page, and get, I don't know, virtual signatures or something that show the massive support of the townspeople.
I don't know if it would be appropriate for us to do, but that would be a suggestion that I could pass on to Kevin, and then it's something that certainly might come out through the academy that they could do, because that's a good idea. That nothing lends weight to an application like a 1,000 signatures.
Yeah.
So, and there's certainly, just in terms of alumni alone, there's certainly that many people still in town. So that's a great idea, and I will pass that on to Kevin.
Stan here, is he looking for financial support or just?
Yes, they are, to my understanding, they have one grant for the clock tower now, and they are looking for additional funding, and then they're looking for additional designations to get federal dollars also.
All right. Well, definitely.
All right. Next item on the agenda: review of minutes from way back in February 22nd.
February 22nd.
Yes. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
This is
Or,
Tim.
yeah. Tim. Okay. Tim said motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Stan, a second.
Good. All in favor?
Dan?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carried. We have no correspondence. Is there any public comment at this time?
No, there is not.
Okay. Any project consultations at this time? No. I have no old business on the agenda. Does anybody have any old business to discuss?
Not me.
All right, new business, reaching new homeowners. The 622 Route 169 applicant had no idea that they were in the historic district. Their real estate agent did not tell them, and evidently it wasn't communicated to them when they were getting applications for building permits at town. So we really need to be thinking about some kind of strategy for reaching new homeowners. I'm not sure what, we tried lots of different things, and short of sitting there in the town hall and waiting for someone to file a deed, I'm not sure how we get the information we need, but I said it came as a complete surprise to the homeowners that they were within the historic district and had to have certificates of appropriateness before they did work. So.
Stan here. When they go in for I don't know how this works really, but when the realtor or whoever goes into town hall and records the sale, I mean, wouldn't that be a place where they would ask, have you notified the homeowner or something like that? There's
under,
got to be somewhere in the process where.
Mhm. There's
where
nothing, there's nothing legally written that says that anything has to be done. The ideal situation is that the real estate agent lets the prospective buyers know. That's the fair way to do it, but that sometimes happens and it sometimes doesn't. There's just no way to know. The building official is supposed to, if they come in for a permit, the building official is supposed to let them know that they're within the district and they potentially need a certificate of appropriateness. And yet another way would be if they file a deed, that would come to it. But those things just haven't been consistently taking place. So I think that it's something we should give some thought to, try and see if we can come up with some ideas of how we might get over this hurdle, because it's not fair to a homeowner, first of all, to suddenly be surprised by it.
How about a letter to the Connecticut Association of Realtors and ask them for a suggestion on how to make their members more aware?
This is Tim. When we bought and sold our house in the historic district, it was listed on the disclosures. You had to disclose that it was in the historic district. I don't know if everyone has those forms or not.
I would think that it would have to be in the disclosures, like you said yours was, legally. I mean, because it's like not telling a buyer about some defect in the property that you're aware of. I don't see how it's any different, but.
So maybe we could check with the town and see if they could do a survey to see if the documents, if they have the documents, if something in the documents that they have on record say that it's within the historic district, that all the properties are within the district. And that would give us a sense of if it's still, if that information is there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea. So give it some thought, and we can discuss it at, discuss. I will talk to the town and the town clerk and see if there's I'll talk with Christine probably and see if there's a way we can check on that and be able and report back at the next meeting, and then also give it some thought and we can discuss further to see if we can't solve this one.
Okay.
I'm pretty well acquainted with John Downs. I could ask him for his personal insight in it if you want.
That's good. A good way to see how we can reach the realtors.
Yeah. All right. I'll do that.
You do that. Thank you, Stan.
Okay.
Okay. And so then the other new piece of new business is what about drafting a letter of support for the Academy's project?
That's a good idea.
Okay. Are we just have a consensus that that's something that we should do?
I would agree to it.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, I'll get in touch with Kevin to let him know that we will do that and to find out the particulars of what they're asked, the specific thing they need, details of what they need support for. And then I'll pass on your suggestion, Tim, of townwide support. Because I know for Roseland, we've done that a couple times and it's been important. It's a good idea. Any other new business?
Our meeting schedule for the rest of the year, are we set to go ahead this way now, or?
I guess.
Until further notice? Or?
Until further notice.
I mean, it worked fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not ideal because we're not all together, but.
Right. On the other hand, we're safe.
We have to adapt and we're safe.
Yes. I'd better, as much as I enjoy your company, guys, being safe kind of a little more important.
When is the next meeting? Do you know? Do you have it? If you know, if you don't, I'll figure it out.
No, it's the fourth Wednesday of, where are we? What month are we in? We'll be in June then.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
And it will, and will, Crystal, if, assuming that we're probably still meeting over Zoom, Crystal will arrange the Zoom meeting. We'll arrange it and get me the information, and we'll push it out to you.
All right.
Is there anything else to bring up?
No, just say hi to Jeff.
Will do. Good to see you all. Glad to see that you're all healthy and safe. And stay that way, please. So I will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, Tim, is there a second?
I'll second. Earl.
Yes.
Earl seconding. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carried. Congratulations. We have 2 public hearings. Thank you, Crystal. You can stop recording.